Mercedes just ran their 2026 engine at McLaren, and it's so fast, the FIA is already trying to slow it down before the season even begins. McLaren's engineers were stunned. The simulations showed power spikes so extreme, insiders say it could wipe the floor with every other team on the grid. But why is the FIA scrambling behind closed doors? What did they see in the McLaren data that's triggering regulation changes months in advance? If you want to stay ahead of this crazy 2026 power war, smash that subscribe button right now. Because Mercedes may have just broken Formula One. The 2026 engine regulations were designed with one goal in mind: balance. A fairer hybrid split, tighter fuel limits, and cleaner energy output. But now, less than a year before launch, everything has been thrown into chaos. Mercedes, with McLaren as their testing ground, may have just exposed a critical imbalance that no one at the FIA saw coming. This is not just about power, it is about control, strategy, and the delicate line between innovation and disruption. What McLaren recorded during these engine simulations is already making its way through FIA boardrooms, and the early response: urgent. McLaren's engineering division has always been analytical and structured, but even they weren't prepared for what this power unit delivered. The torque curves were off the charts, and energy deployment under hybrid mode showed signs of outperforming simulated averages by a wide margin. This wasn't a marginal gain. This wasn't a small step forward. This was a leap that could, if left unregulated, make every other team look 2 seasons behind. Mercedes may have unlocked a window of dominance, and McLaren now holds the key to what comes next. Insiders close to the test have described the power delivery as violently efficient. While most teams are still struggling to balance the energy recovery system under the new limitations, Mercedes seems to have found a loophole in managing battery output during acceleration and straight-line performance. That means smoother exits, superior traction, and less degradation, 3 pillars that win races over a full season. For a team like McLaren, still chasing consistency, this test may have revealed their fastest route back to the top. But here's where the FIA gets involved, because this power unit doesn't just raise eyebrows. It raises alarms. Under the surface, technical delegates are now running simulations of their own. The concern isn't just that Mercedes is ahead. It's that the rest of the grid won't catch up in time, making the 2026 championship potentially one-sided. And in a sport built on competition, that's a disaster waiting to happen. FIA insiders have confirmed that internal briefings are already underway, and discussions around countermeasures, possibly even pre-season technical directives, are back on the table. The bigger problem? Transparency. Mercedes isn't obligated to share their most sensitive engine data, especially during pre-homologation development. That leaves the FIA chasing shadows. Meanwhile, McLaren is playing it smart, staying quiet, downplaying test results in public, while internally preparing to capitalize on a potential advantage they didn't expect to have so early. If Mercedes is allowed to lock in this power advantage, expect a cascade of mid-season protests and political warfare like we saw during the dominant turbo-hybrid era. There's also the wild card factor of reliability. Pushing an engine this far this early comes with massive risk. Cooling thresholds, durability across race distances, and integration with active aero will define whether this engine is a title winner or a ticking time bomb. But if McLaren and Mercedes can stabilize the package before testing in Bahrain, the rest of the paddock is in serious trouble. Teams like Ferrari and Aston Martin, who've already committed to conservative development paths, may have no way to match the gains without breaking cost cap regulations. Right now, all eyes are on the FIA. The governing body must decide whether to protect the spirit of the new 2026 rules or allow Mercedes to redefine them. The sport stands at a crossroads. What happens in the next few months could reshape the competitive landscape for years. This is not just a technical breakthrough. It's a political one. And McLaren, willingly or not, is now right at the center of it. Behind the scenes, the tension is rising. Several rival teams have already requested clarification from the FIA about the legality of certain power unit configurations, and while no one is naming Mercedes directly, the target is obvious. Red Bull, in particular, has been vocal about preserving fairness, especially after losing top engineering talent over the past year. Ferrari, meanwhile, is pushing for stricter interpretation of the thermal efficiency limits, which some suspect Mercedes may be creatively navigating. The FIA is now stuck in the middle, facing pressure from all sides before the first car even hits the 2026 track. McLaren, on the other hand, is walking a tightrope. They know they're in possession of a potential championship weapon, but revealing too much, too soon, could trigger regulatory changes that eliminate their edge. Team principal Andrea Stella is playing his cards close, making vague statements about encouraging data while refusing to confirm just how fast the test results truly were. Some believe McLaren is deliberately holding back in simulator outputs, masking their true pace to avoid detection. It's a risky game, but one that could deliver massive rewards if timed right. Mercedes' engine team in Brixworth has gone silent in recent weeks, avoiding media interaction and skipping non-essential briefings. The only public comment came from a senior engineer who stated, "We are working within the rules, and focusing on efficiency and innovation." That's classic Mercedes speak calm on the outside, ruthless on the inside. If their calculations hold up under real-world stress, this could be the most dominant engine launch since 2014. And everyone knows what happened back then. Mercedes crushed the field for years. But this time, the stakes are even higher. Formula One's 2026 regulations aren't just about power. They're about sustainability, energy recovery, and bringing manufacturers closer to road relevance. If Mercedes has managed to maximize power and meet the environmental targets better than rivals, they could lock in massive brand wins not just on the racetrack, but globally. That could be a marketing nightmare for the FIA, which has worked hard to promote a balanced new era. One manufacturer running away with the show contradicts everything they've been selling. There's also growing speculation that the FIA may introduce a technical directive limiting how much energy can be deployed under acceleration, a move that would directly target the kind of spike McLaren recorded during testing. If that happens, expect pushback from Mercedes and heated debates in the paddock. It's a classic F1 scenario: innovation meets politics, and the outcome may come down to who controls the narrative, not just the engineering. Fans are already catching wind of the situation. Online forums and F1 Twitter are buzzing with leaks, theories, and breakdowns of how Mercedes may have interpreted the 2026 rules differently. Some claim they've simply outsmarted the rest. Others believe this is the beginning of another controversial era that will divide the sport. Either way, the buzz is building, and so is the pressure on both McLaren and the FIA to either reveal the truth or contain it before it explodes into the public spotlight. One thing is clear: McLaren is no longer an underdog. By aligning with Mercedes and potentially unleashing this monster power unit in 2026, they've changed their story completely. Now, they're not just contenders, they might be the team everyone else is chasing. But with that comes attention, scrutiny, and risk. And in Formula One, being fast is only half the battle. The real war? It's always fought in the shadows. As testing schedules loom, rival teams are racing to uncover any details they can about Mercedes' breakthrough. Some have resorted to reverse engineering telemetry data gathered from shared suppliers, while others are relying on former staff who've moved between engine divisions. It's a full-on intelligence war, with factory teams deploying scouts and technical advisors to decode what McLaren and Mercedes may be hiding. The whispers around the paddock aren't about lap times, they're about kilowatts, deployment maps, and high-voltage secrets. The most concerning revelation from FIA insiders is that Mercedes may have found a way to manipulate the energy deployment curve without breaching any written rule. If true, this means they've essentially discovered a legal boost mode that gives them extra punch during critical race moments like overtakes, starts, and defensive battles. It's not a traditional performance hack. It's strategic, stealthy, and nearly invisible unless you're analyzing millisecond-level data. This kind of innovation is what separates title winners from midfield runners, and it's exactly what the FIA fears the most. Meanwhile, McLaren is rapidly ramping up its internal readiness. The Woking team has already begun structural modifications to its 2026 chassis to better integrate the new Mercedes power unit. These aren't cosmetic changes, they're architectural redesigns, including cooling system tweaks, battery housing reinforcement, and aero adjustments to manage increased torque under load. The message is clear: McLaren is not just adapting to the engine, they're building their entire car around it. That signals full confidence in the power unit's reliability and long-term performance. But with every advantage comes risk. If the FIA decides to implement a directive even subtly, McLaren could be forced to rework core elements of its chassis and engine integration at the last minute. That could cost them weeks in wind tunnel time, months in simulation testing, and millions in budget allocation. Remember, under the cost cap era, every wrong development path has financial consequences. So McLaren isn't just betting on performance, they're gambling on regulatory stability, which is anything but guaranteed right now. Within Mercedes HQ, the engineering team is operating with military-grade secrecy. No external supplier has seen the full integration plans, and multiple departments are reportedly working in siloed environments to prevent leaks. Some insiders even claim the power unit is being bench-tested with unique load profiles that mimic specific circuit demands like Baku's long straights or Monaco's stop-start sections to fine-tune every possible edge. That level of detail is terrifying for rivals, because it shows Mercedes isn't guessing. They're preparing for total domination. What's more, early leaks suggest the Mercedes unit is outperforming in fuel efficiency metrics, a key pillar of the 2026 regulations. While others are still balancing power output with energy recovery limits, Mercedes may have already solved the math. That opens up more aggressive race strategies, fewer lift-and-coast moments, and better tire preservation. It's not just about being fast for a lap, it's about being relentless over 60. And if they've truly nailed efficiency, expect McLaren to become a tire-whispering monster next season. For fans and pundits, this scenario is déjà vu. The hybrid era began with Mercedes catching everyone off guard, and it took nearly a decade for the grid to close the gap. If history repeats itself, the FIA faces a difficult choice: protect innovation or protect competition. And no matter which path they choose, the fallout will be massive. For now, all we know is this: McLaren is faster, Mercedes is smarter, and the rest of the paddock? They're scrambling to catch up.